Sean McDermott is Dwayne Casey. Dwayne Casey was a really good coach, made a bad Raptors team good, but until they could win a title, they needed a Nick Nurse. Stevie Johnson, do the Bills need their Nick Nurse to win a Super Bowl?
Yeah, not only do they need their Nick Nurse, but they also need their Kawhi Leonard, the guy that they can give the ball to and just take over anything. That's my thoughts.
Welcome into Broken Table ahead of Week 6, Bills, Jets, Monday night. Korolnek, Hein, Singh, and Stevie Johnson. And we all remember how it ended against the Houston Texans. I don't think Bills fans will forget anytime soon the way that final possession unfolded for the Buffalo Bills with less than a minute left. But I'm sure we all had the same reaction, screaming at our TVs.
The thing that makes me most mad about the end of that game, it's not necessarily throwing the ball 3 times. Because I understand if you're Sean McDermott, you need to get a first down. But you weren't throwing the ball well all game. Josh Allen, I think 30% completion percentage, lowest recorded in 30 years. If you wanted a first down, you run the ball. It's not necessarily let them use the timeouts. I get it. Like, you need a first down, but you're going to get a first down by running the ball.
Nobody could possibly dispute that the way that McDermott handled the final minute of the game was the proper way to handle it. He himself admitted it was an utter debacle. And I think a lot of Bills fans, this is not a new refrain, right? Bills fans have been clamoring for a new head coach for a number of years, and this has seemingly just reignited that thought process in that McDermott at the end of games doesn't know what he's doing. I'm not sure that's exactly what's happening, but Tekeyah, do you think the Buffalo Bills have a Sean McDermott problem?
Yes, they do, and we've been seeing this over the years. They keep winning divisions. They can't get past that. He has no situational awareness. He can't win in tight games. He can't clock manage properly. Like, at what point do we say, okay, enough is enough? He got rid of Ken Dorsey. I think that was the last.
That saved his job. When they turned things around, it saved things, and
But that was a scapegoat.
Yes. But it also was Ken Dorsey's fault, as we see what happened with Joe Brady and the offense after Dorsey was fired.
Right.
But you forget, Dorsey got fired after that Broncos game, and how that Broncos game ended. The Broncos missed a field goal, and the Bills had too many men on the field. And then they come back, and then they hit the winning field goal. So it's like them losing that Broncos game had nothing to do with Dorsey. That was McDermott's fault. But like you said, he was the scapegoat, even though he deserved to be fired. But when you add up 13 seconds, when you take the Broncos game, and you take this Texans game, Stevie, like, at what point is it just too much, and maybe the players start to lose a little bit of faith in McDermott?
Man, it's a little bit of everything. It's some of McDermott, it's some of, the players, it's some of, the management in the building. And that's where I'm leaning at more. I feel like it's not as much of a McDermott thing as opposed to McDermott making decisions. It's more of him being on the coaches to be on the players. I think that's where the disconnect is coming, the communication. To be honest, I felt like the team got complacent. They won those first 3 games. And it was like, okay, yeah, we good. We can go in with this attitude and dominate or compete against any team. But like we all know, when you go up against the upper echelon teams, you got to come with another type of energy. And they ran into it 2 weeks in a row. So this Texans games, I was kind of confused at how they wasn't energized and uplifted, to start the game off. Josh going 9 for 30 is kind of unreal. And it showed the 9 for 30 because you had players running into coverages. You had guys running man routes on zone coverages. It was like, it wasn't making any sense. And as a player, I know for sure that comes from the communication side. So people are just too complacent or being too nice in that facility right now. They need to, turn it up.
So with regards to McDermott, I would argue it's the same conversation surrounding any idea about replacing a coach. The first question I would have, Chris, is who's the replacement? Who is in position to take this team to another level, especially in season? I don't think Bill Belichick's coming in. It's like, all right, guys, let's instill my entire philosophy into the Buffalo Bills in week number 6 or week number 7. So would you be in favor of Joe Brady taking over as the head coach or Bobby Babich? I just don't know what the answer is.
None of that.
Well, no, exactly. and that's what I struggle with. And you made the comparison, Dwayne Casey out, Nick Nurse in. That was an off-season transaction. Course, yeah. So again, in season, I think they're, for better or worse, attached to McDermott. And it's a conversation, yes, after the season concludes. But whether or not the Bills have a McDermott problem, it's almost an irrelevant conversation to me because there's nobody who's capable of replacing him in-house, and you're not bringing somebody in externally.
I think if you're going to make a move in the middle of the season, it's going to have to be your like what the Jets did. And it's fitting the Bills are playing the Jets and what happened with Saleh. But your season has to sort of be on the line. And if the Jets lose Monday, it's likely that they're kind of out of the AFC East playoff picture. So the Jets needed to make that move. Now, it's funny, we talked about it last week, saying if only FanDuel gave us real lines instead of hypothetical odds, we all would have hammered that 10-1. But if the Bills are going to make a move, it needs to be when their season's on the line. So say you lose this week and then you lose again and you're down to like 3-4 and you're desperate and the season's sort of teetering, then you need to make a move. But in terms of McDermott, if he's that guy, I think we'll see that. It's kind of all dependent on what happens in the playoffs. And if you have another no-show in a like they had against the Bengals in the divisional round 2 years ago, or lose another close game, then you got to start asking questions about the head coach.
Yeah, and when it comes to the playoffs, this game on Monday night could go a very long way in determining if the Buffalo Bills will be in the playoffs, because the winner of Monday night, the Bills and the Jets, will be in first place in the AFC East, which kind of blows my mind considering how inept the Jets have been so far this season, how high we were on Buffalo through 3 games. I don't think you can call Monday a must-win, Tekeyah, but you could really do some damage in the AFC East and the Jets' chances in the division if you could take them out on Monday night.
Well, I think it's a swing. It's a swing for either team. So I think it's important for either one. And like you said, the fall off from the way the people were feeling about the Bills to now is crazy. I will say, though, it was still a close game against Houston. It was still close. And we watched them play their worst. Josh Allen.
That's the thing.
The offense. They played their worst football, I think.
That's why I'm not quite ready to fully panic, because you go into Houston, everyone's talking about Houston as one of the 3 best teams in the AFC. Yeah, you played awful, and you were tied with 32 seconds left.
Right.
So even when they're, and this was the same last year, even when they're bad, they're still in these games against good teams. And it's like, you lose at Baltimore smacked you, sure, throw that one out. But yeah, you were in that game with Houston.
It's like they got to understand how good they are. You know, you played a terrible game and you only lost by a last-second field goal. Let's say that. You know, but if you come out the game, you know, on fire, you know what I'm saying, energized, feeling like you are who you are, believing you are who you are, then those mistakes don't matter, because it's something called energy, momentum. So I kind of want to take the attention off of McDermott, because he's given Josh the freedom to do what he wants to. I think everybody's given Josh the freedom to being the player and the talent that he is. So it's on Josh to set up the screens for himself, to set up the plays, you know what I mean? Telling players to do certain things, putting people in certain places. I feel like it's got to go on Josh. It's got to go on the player, you know, and that's where I'm going to keep my attention at, as opposed to McDermott and Brady. Josh, at the end of the day, is in the huddle, and he can tell Keon Coleman to go to the right side and get this first down on 3rd and 6, as opposed to telling Valdez-Scantling to run a hitch. That's not his power. You know, Josh, you got to know that. So I'm putting it on the player, you know, and not the coach.
So Stevie, I saw on your Twitter, you did a little film room stuff with the Bills receivers. Is Josh missing guys who are open, or are the receivers not getting open?
No, it's not that. It's that, okay, so when the coach called a play and it's a drag route, okay, the players will go out there with just, all right, I have to run a drag. But then if the coverage changed, this is the NFL, coverages change, people pop out and do certain things. And if you know you only got to get 5 to 6 yards, you don't necessarily have to run that drag route all the way into coverage. I mean, be smart, guys. You got to be smart. It's just playing football. And that's where it's the intangibles. It's not nothing that you really supposed to teach, because you go to the practice and you got to script. You got to script the plays, and they even script the defense on what they think they're going to be in. So in practice, it works. But like you seen with Kansas City Chiefs, the first 4 passes to Travis Kelce, it wasn't even full routes. He hike, get on the ball, and then you're looking at 2 or 3 yards and you just get it there. We didn't do any of that. And that's why you see quarterbacks with 25 for 45 or 28 for 37 or something like that, because they getting a lot of little passes also. What I saw with our Bills is they were just looking for big plays. Like, they was trying to make up the momentum, as opposed to just playing your game and taking what they give you and playing like the Buffalo Bills play.
And it doesn't really get any easier on Monday against the Jets defense that has really turned things around after that season opener against San Fran. And we know the changes that have been made with the Jets here, Stevie. Robert Saleh out as their head coach. Nathaniel Hackett out as the play caller. They've given the duties over to Todd Downing. A lot of controversy surrounding Nathaniel Hackett. That's putting it mildly. People were calling for him to lose his job. He remains as the offensive coordinator, but doesn't call plays anymore, so I'm not really sure exactly what his role entails. You guys were together in Buffalo for a year. What can you tell us about Hackett, and are the things that people around the NFL say about him true?
Yeah, so I don't know exactly what they're saying about him around the league. I just know, from my experience with him. And Coach Hackett, he's one of those guys that you want in your building, in your facility. He's not walking around selling false dreams, but he's got the energy that'll make you believe that you can be better than what you are, or whatever your team record is, you guys can make it over that hump. That's the type of energy that Coach Hackett had and that I experienced him with. I don't know how he's been these past few years, but between that and understanding, schemes and drawing up plays, he was the quality control in Buffalo when I was there. So, he knows about the plays and this and that. But with the Jets, I felt like it was more of an energy thing with Saleh. His energy probably just didn't match that team and what was going on and the pressures of being a head coach as opposed to just being the defensive coordinator. It's a lot that's thrown in on him. So, it is what it is for Coach Saleh. But with Coach Hackett, I think he's there because that energy that he brings, and he and he's his connection with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers. That's the real answer.
Yeah, because didn't Sean Payton say that his 2022 tenure with the Broncos was the worst coaching job he's ever seen in the
He was biased, though. He was
NFL?
biased, Sean Payton. Yeah, of course he's going to say that.
Stevie, when looking at the Saleh situation, what's the vibe of that locker room, right? Like, do you think you get like the dead coach bounce that this team now is going to come out with new energy now that Saleh's gone and they kind of have a renewed sense of purpose with a new guy?
I'm just guessing on this because I don't know Saleh. I've never been around him to really give y'all a full understanding of what he's like to be around. But what I've seen, it seemed like it was a lot of disconnect. So I would lean more towards the locker room being excited that he's gone. If you kind of see your quarterback pushing people off, it's like, okay, what's going on here? Like, he's trying to get a message and the team is not getting the same message that he is. Now that piece is gone, we can probably let our hair down is what I'm probably thinking. Saleh was probably doing things that he wasn't used to doing as a defensive coordinator. Now that he got more responsibility as a head coach, and guys wasn't feeling it. So I can't really speak on it 100%, but I just felt like it was a disconnect and the guys might come out more hungry.
We were talking last week about how desperate the New York Jets are to win this year, to be a Super Bowl contender this year, because Aaron Rodgers is 40 years old and time is fleeting when it comes to a professional athlete of that age. So since we spoke last week, guys, the Jets have not yet traded for Davante Adams, although they probably will soon. Let's be honest here. Maybe as early as next week. They have fired their head coach and they have replaced their play caller with somebody else. So if that doesn't speak to an organization that is utterly desperate for success, and it could go either way, right? On Monday night for the Jets, maybe all this desperation works for them and firing Saleh, replacing Hackett, and maybe potentially trading for Adams. It just speaks to an organization that is so hell-bent on success this year, and it could go either way. And that's what makes Monday night so incredibly compelling for both the Jets and for the Buffalo Bills, in that the heat is ratcheting up on the Bills, and you have a team that needs some positivity. That's why I think Monday for Josh Allen, we all remember week 1 last year, right? How the Jets beat the Bills. Aaron Rodgers out after 4 plays. You're looking at that game. Oh, it's over. The Bills are going to steamroll him. And in fact, it was the exact opposite. Monday's a huge game for Josh Allen, Stevie, and I'm really excited to see how they come out and play.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I've actually chose Josh Allen to be my villain of the week. I can go more in depth when we get to that. But like you said, great point. That week 1, we thought it was going to be a cakewalk once Rodgers went down. And what happened? We got embarrassed, flat out embarrassed. And I remember being at the East Austin Bills backer bar, and the energy was just like what was that? Like, that wasn't that the backup guy coming in against our perennial team? And I think this year, with everything that's going on from now and what happened last year, they're going to come out smoking.
I think the energy to for a Monday nighter when a must win for the Bills, pretty much. I think you're not going to come out flat like they did against Houston. But some interesting data on teams their next game after the coach firing. Ooh. Since 2003, 15-18 records straight up, and 17-16 against the spread. But to put that into proper context, those teams' record before that game, 85, 233, and 2. So this is teams with like a 26% win percentage,
teams.
And then they're
teams.
getting to about 500. So there is that dead coach bounce. It exists. It's a real thing. So that's what kind of, as from a Bills perspective, that's what I would be worried about, is that this Jets team could come out with some energy and a purpose that they didn't have with Saleh.
That's really interesting. And it makes a lot of sense. I mean, a new mentality for the Jets is something that they desperately need. And we talked about the potential of them trading for Davante Adams. There's been some buzz around the Bills and Davante Adams that they're monitoring
Mike
the
Florio,
situation.
thank you, with the headline that isn't the headline.
The situation. I'm not sure how likely it is the Bills pick up Adams because of the salary cap constraints, but I think it's fair to question whether or not they do need to trade for someone. There are guys available. Maybe Amari
Cooper to me makes way more sense than Adams.
DeAndre Hopkins, maybe Deontay Johnson. Is there someone that you've identified, Stevie, that might be a good fit for the Bills as a receiving target should they make a trade for one?
Yeah, well, my target is like a non-popular opinion. Nobody likes it, but I think Tyreek Hill is the guy that can fit our offense. I think with him leaving a Super Bowl team and the Chiefs and then having his fun in Miami and seeing how the grass isn't greener on the other side. I mean, the bank account probably is, but he's not having fun, He may be getting pushed out the league in a sense. So I think with him having that feeling, coming to a team like the Buffalo Bills, that him being an amazing gadget player, that's what we're looking for. 2-3 yard passes and go get it out and get up the field. I think that guy would fit. Everybody else, I wouldn't mind it. I just think for a fit, I like Tyreek Hill.
You just got every Bills fan so fired up saying Tyreek Hill.
They don't like when I talk that at all.
And now people are going to be rewatching the frustration of him on the sideline, like the Zapruder film, like really just breaking that down.
No doubt. I guess if Tua is slated to return for the Dolphins, which I think is the expectation in week 8.
Maybe in a couple weeks, right?
Then, and again, they beat the Patriots, and I was there in Foxborough. I saw that with my own eyes. I was trying to block it out with the sun as best I could, but I did see that 15-10 win for the Dolphins. But if the Jets were to win on Monday night, you're talking about a couple 3-3 teams at the top of the AFC East, and the Jets or the Dolphins are right there. Yeah. That division's not over, and think about what they've had to endure with all these terrible quarterbacks over the last couple weeks, but it's still within the realm of possibility that Miami could be there. So maybe Tyreek isn't necessarily on the block.
I think we need to go further into that. Like, who hurt you that made you go in the stadium to watch Pats and Dolphins?
Yeah, it was a tough experience. But it was really cool as well. I'd never been to Gillette before, Stevie. I know you've been there many, many times playing in that stadium, which would have been really cool. It's an amazing vibe in Foxborough, and all the history and the Patriots Hall of Fame was really cool to see. And Robert Kraft has done an amazing job of building out that area to make it really cool for the fan experience. Now, being in the stadium, seeing that 15-10 football game, Stevie, maybe not the greatest of experiences, but anytime you get to go to a new NFL stadium, I'm not complaining.
Yeah, not at all. I think that they do it really good out there in Foxborough. As a player, I loved playing there because the crowd was always so energetic. They were so for their Patriots, as they should be. They was champions. They was building that dynasty. But I love playing against those guys and competing against New England and that crowd and those players.
Listen,
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I would love to see Tyreek Hill in Buffalo.
I think everybody would. I think Cooper is actually something that's realistic. And I think that's a good fit. And the cost is what? A 3rd round pick?
You got a 2nd round pick in the Diggs trade,
exactly.
Right? That's the ammo that you should be using. And again, people are saying, oh, it's a soft rebuild for the Buffalo Bills. There's no such thing when you have one of the best players on the planet as your quarterback. And I don't care who's out on defense or who you don't have at receiver. You need to be gunning for the Super Bowl every year while Josh Allen is healthy and in his prime, because the Buffalo Bills, maybe aside from Kansas City, Tekeyah, are as good as anybody.
But you need those pieces. And in my opinion, like Shakir's out, and then you have Mac Hollins who can't read the ball. And I don't think you have a true wide receiver 1 on the Bills.
For sure. Everybody eats is turned to nobody eats.
Yeah, exactly. I love the everybody eats mantra, but it doesn't work if nobody can catch the ball.
Well, I think you kind of nailed it with Shakir. And if you look at the Allen splits, when Shakir's in versus when Shakir's out, it is a massive difference. And we kind of saw that Sunday. Shakir, while he might not be catching the balls of a number one, he opens everything else up for Allen and that Bills offense.
What I feel like they need to do is start opening up the door for all of the receivers to catch easy passes. I want you guys to check out next time you watch the game, see how long when he snapped the ball and how long he's getting the ball out. It's probably over 2.5 seconds. And I feel like a lot more of the plays, he need to get the ball out in at least 2.5 seconds. He's holding it for 3 seconds, letting the play develop, and then seeing if it's going to work. And by that time, I mean, you can only hope your offensive line can hold up for so long, before he's out there running and trying to make plays and scrambling. They got to get more passes out. They got to set up more design plays off of certain routes and coverages to get the ball out to his slots, his tight ends, drag routes, sits, all that type of things. I'm not seeing that. So that's something I'm going to be looking for against the Jets.
Okay, Stevie. So is that something that the coaches need to do? Maybe get Josh comfortable with some easy throws early in the game as opposed to, making him be Superman and go for that big play?
Yeah, most definitely. I think that's something that they can do early and often. There's a concept that I like that's called stick. And the stick concept gives you multiple options depending on different coverages, So I feel like if they come out running the stick concept, utilizing the tight end, being able to run an in or out or sits, your slot defender being able to read whether it's man or zone, and depending on what coverage it is, they have two options, and then your outside guy clearing things out depending on the coverage. And I feel like the Buffalo Bills can line up with the skill players that they have and call that stick concept more than 10 times in the game and get the ball out fast for Josh Allen to be able to move up and down the field and not read every single play.
I just want to talk about Rodgers a bit because it has been, let me just bring up the stat here. He has been, I think, 28 straight games without throwing for 300 yards. And in his career against the Bills, I think it's his lowest passer rating against any other team. When you watch Rodgers this year, is he the same Rodgers we've seen 2 years ago, or is it a significant drop-off?
To be honest, I feel like he is the same. And I feel like he's the same great player that we all know him to be. It's similar to what Josh is going through right now. They just got to get the ball out. They got to get I wouldn't say get the ball out. I would say them is more route IQ. That's where I felt like the Davante Adams would help Aaron Rodgers, because what did we always see with Aaron Rodgers? Back shoulders, maybe a run play and getting it out quick to a slant to a Randall Cobb, a Greg Jennings, James Jones, Jordy Nelson. It's like the fast pace, Davante Adams back shoulders. You don't really see a lot of that right now. You see like plays kind of developing, and then he get it there, and I think he'll take his game back to the top level if they can get guys to understand his style, that get the ball out quick type of style. And I hope Davante don't sign before we play our Bills, but if he does, I think we're going to see a top tier Aaron Rodgers again, because he still got it in.
Well, and a big part of the Jets' struggles this year has been their complete and utter inability to run the ball. Breece Hall was going second overall in fantasy leagues. He has 3 yards per carry on the season through 5 weeks. And I guess that is part and parcel to an ineffective passing game as well, which would open up the run game. But for the Jets and their offense, 93 points through 5 games this season, 93 points through 5 games last season.
So for Zach.
With Zach Wilson.
Yes.
And then you have a 4-time NFL MVP quarterbacking you this year. The offense.
They're not doing any better.
No, they're not doing any better. And we'll see how it looks with Todd Downing calling the plays as opposed to Nathaniel Hackett, with Jeff Ulbrich patrolling the sidelines as the head coach as opposed to Robert Saleh. But I'm skeptical Rodgers can get back to even 2 years ago. Again, he's 40 years old. He's coming off a torn Achilles.
And he looks like it.
And he does.
Big time.
So I would be interested to see a revitalized Aaron Rodgers, and maybe it takes a Davante Adams coming to the team to maybe open things up a little bit. Again, 22 targets for Garrett Wilson. On Sunday in London.
But nothing was downfield. Everything seemed at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, you're right.
And you know what? To Stevie's point about route IQ, that last interception in the London game, he was expecting a back shoulder. He threw a back shoulder throw, and I think it was Mike Williams did not run a back shoulder route. So those receivers need to get on the same page with him. And yeah, Adams would definitely help that because they already have that chemistry.
Yeah, for sure. That's something that's huge. That you don't really see. Having that understanding. Okay, we might not necessarily talk about this, but if I get in a situation where it's pressured and you got a go route, him and Devontae Adams know this most likely is going to be like a back shoulder. So Devontae would do certain things to place a DB where he needs him so that he can adjust to that. And that's the communication thing that QBs and receivers kind of take for granted. And you gotta have that conversation in the meeting rooms, in the film room, even outside of the facility. You got to talk to your quarterbacks because that situations like that come up more so than they don't.
One thing for sure, I am excited I know the Bills, they play more zone than anybody. I think it's like 80% zone, but I want to see Christian Benford matched up against Garrett Wilson because Benford, 0.3 yards per pass coverage he's allowed. That leads the NFL.
Wow.
He got targeted once in that Houston game. This guy's playing like one of the best corners in the league, and I want to see what happens when he's up against an elite receiver in Garrett Wilson.
Benford Island.
Yes. Yeah,
Should we start it right here? Benford Island. Move over Darrell Revis. It's now Benford Island. I think that's something we could stick with.
Some respect. Put some respect on Benford's name for sure, because he's definitely been holding it down as a DB from day one. So I give props to him.
All right, big game on Sunday. Commanders, Ravens.
Arguably game of the week.
I would say could be the game of the year. Jaden Daniels and Lamar Jackson going toe-to-toe. Let's find out what's going on in the street with the Streeters. Same game parlay.
What a catch. Oh, Hein spread. He held on. Hey, bike guy, football fan? No. That guy did not look happy. We're on the streets of Toronto doing a little same-game parlay on FanDuel for Ravens Commanders game of the week. You are a baseball fan, though.
I'm a baseball fan.
So if this was a same-game parlay about baseball, you would be an expert, but instead we're talking football.
Yes.
So it's the Commanders and Ravens. First off, let's start with the game. Okay. Washington or Baltimore?
Baltimore. One of my friends is a Baltimore Ravens fan, so that's why I just said Baltimore.
Okay, there we go. So let's focus on their quarterback, Lamar Jackson. Okay. Over or under 221.5 passing yards?
Oh, dear. I don't even know what that means. I'm going to say over.
Okay, let's go with his rushing yards then. That's easy to figure out. Is he going to run over or under 55.5 rushing yards?
Under.
So we got Ravens to win, Jackson over passing, Jackson under rushing.
Okay.
Make that bet on FanDuel. Who's going to win the World Series? Pressure's on. Clock's ticking.
The Yankees. The Yankees.
Aww.
I'm sorry. I know. I don't want it to be true, but I think.
Come on.
Yeah.
Are you guys football fans by chance?
No. What is this, TV?
Long pause. It's better than TV. It's YouTube. Cycling guy, football fan? No? Oh, he's coming back. He's coming back. Yeah. Oh, you got to know something.
I play the real football.
There you go. What's that, soccer?
The one with the feet.
That's good. Who's your soccer team?
PSG, Liverpool.
PSG. Come on, man. Commanders and Ravens. Who you got in the game?
Ravens.
Ravens? Okay. Now, are you Ravens money line or are they covering the spread?
Spread.
We got two of the best quarterbacks in the league. Jaden Daniels, pass yards. Over or under?
Under.
Okay, now his counterpart, Lamar Jackson, pass yards. Over or under?
Over.
Okay, now let's get the rush yards in there. Daniels rush yards. You're looking hard, like you know. The answer's somewhere inside. Sorry, don't mean to tap your helmet. The answer's somewhere in that brain. Daniels rush yards over 48.5 or under 48.5?
Under.
Okay, now let's go Lamar Jackson. Finish it off with that. Over 55.5 rush yards or under 55.5?
Over.
Okay, go make that bet on FanDuel. Best of luck. Thank you for stopping.
How the does I remember any of this?
Football fan at all?
Nope.
Thanks for asking. Let's just play. Bike guy, you a football fan by chance? Football fan?
No, I'm afraid not.
No? You don't want to make a little same game parlay on FanDuel?
No.
Stevie, looking at this game, I can't wait. This is probably two dudes who are playing quarterback better than anybody in the NFL right now. I think they saw the stat with Jaden Daniels, first quarterback through 5 games to throw for 1,000 and rush for 250. His completion percentage is insane. I know he was your villain of the week a couple weeks ago. What's the sky's the limit with this guy? How good do you think Jaden Daniels can be?
Oh, he can. I mean, look at the guy who he's playing against, Lamar Jackson. I feel like that's how good Jaden Daniels can be. He is almost a spitting image of him, when it comes down to the type of energy that he brings to his team, to his teammates. When I say team, I mean like the facility, the business suits. You know what I mean? He makes them comfortable in him being just him. What you see in college from Jaden Daniels, you're seeing it now in the NFL. His free will to throw the ball wherever he needs to, wherever he sees, and making those connections with the playmakers. I chose this as one of my games of the week because this is a special situation with Jaden Daniels going up against Lamar Jackson. You kind of seeing a young Jackson, in Daniels. So I'm looking forward to seeing this match.
It's amazing how we all view Jaden Daniels so highly and rightfully so. I think you can make an argument he's the NFL MVP through 5 weeks, and yet the Baltimore Ravens are 6.5-point favorites at home against the Commanders. So while we may believe in Jaden Daniels and Washington, the sportsbooks do not.
Well, you know what? The sportsbooks have been wrong because dogs of 5.5 points or more are 19-4-1 against the spread this year with 13 outright wins. So dogs are barking, and I like the Commanders getting that many points, and I'm intrigued to see what Daniels can do against a great defense because we saw what happened when Josh Allen played against the Ravens. There was nobody was open all game. So what is going to happen with Jaden Daniels against the Ravens? Tekeyah, what are you hyped or what?
I am so excited. It's the rookie and the vet. Stevie, you absolutely nailed it on the head there. I'm so excited to see it because it is. It's like a sensei and his
passing of the torch.
Yeah, it's
although
so
Lamar
exciting.
still got the torch. I think he's got the torch for a long time. I'm not sure that's going to be passed along anytime soon.
Well, I don't know. He looks like he might be the MVP, but are the Ravens the best team in football right now? I know the Chiefs are still undefeated, but is it Baltimore?
Yeah, I feel like they up there. You know, they only lost to the Chiefs by a heel or a toe from Isaiah Likely. So, you know, it's up there. This AFC is dominant. That's why I want our Bills to really get in the gear and start getting this ball out faster because the teams aren't getting worse. And that goes for the NFC also. You see the 49ers, they having a problem finishing games. You know, so teams are getting better, man. It's a lot of good entertainment out here.
Well, you mentioned the Bills, and that's perfect segue for our Stevie Johnson's Villain of the Week for Week 6.
Why so serious?
Yes. For Week 6 Villain of the Week, I'm going to go with Josh Allen. Not only because I want him to go in and wreck the day, but I feel like he's going to turn into the Villain of the Week if his guys don't get on the same page as him. So I'm going to go with Josh Allen to fire up his Buffalo Bills. I'm talking about from practice right now, getting on the same page and making sure that everybody's accountable for what they need to do more than just what the play says. You got to be accountable for more if you want more. So I'm going with Josh Allen to pick his guys up and wreck the day for the New York Jets.
And you know what? With some of the injuries the Bills have, James Cook missed practice Wednesday, Shakir missed practice. It might be more so on Allen to carry things, but let's go to our staff parlay. And before we go to it, let's bring up our little leaderboard here. You'll see AK, me, Stevie, a nice little 3-1.
Yeah,
so
not
bad.
Not bad.
It was Davis who let us down last week.
Yeah.
So thanks, Chezzy.
Thanks for nothing, Sanchez.
Yes.
Now it's my turn.
Yes.
No, you got a winner.
You're,
You got a
you're a
winner.
nice cozy 1-1 here. So yeah, why don't you kick it off for us, though, Tekeyah?
Okay, I like Montgomery to get a touchdown against the Cowboys. He has 7 straight touchdowns, and he's actually 1 rushing touchdown away from breaking the record for the Lions, a franchise record for the most rushing touchdowns. So I think he's going in. Yeah, he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's got a reason to do it. I think he finds the end zone.
That's wild. Barry Sanders doesn't have that record?
Barry Sanders not. It's Sims, the dude,
Yeah.
the guy before Barry Sanders from
Interesting.
Oklahoma. Yeah.
Interesting. All right, Josh Jacobs, another running back for me, over 64.5 rushing yards. Simple premise here. Fade the Arizona Cardinals run D. The worst in the NFL. Green Bay is a 5.5-point favorite. I think they take a big lead, and Josh Jacob churns those legs and goes over because, listen, I'm on a hot streak. 3 straight weeks of winners. About to make it 4 with my man, Josh Jacobs.
So I usually like to lean into the props here, but there's a lot of injuries. A lot of the props aren't out yet. We'll take a closer look at the props market on Sunday, but I'm going with the Steelers. -3 against the Raiders. They made the change of quarterback, Aiden O'Connell in, but this Steelers defense is just still so good. The 2 losses they have, Cowboys by 3, Colts by 3, they could arguably be undefeated still. I think the Steelers defense just absolutely feasts on the Raiders, even on the road. It's in Vegas. Pittsburgh travels well. That stadium's going to be half Steelers fans. So I'm going Steelers -3. Stevie, take us home with the winning leg.
All right, with the winning leg, I'm going to go with my game of the week. I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens over the Washington Commanders. Now, although Jaden Daniels is coming in like the hottest MVP, rookie MVP that you've ever seen, but Lamar Jackson's like, not so fast, my guy. I've been there, I've done that, and you come into my house. So I feel like this is going to be a game that the Baltimore Ravens take over. So I'm taking the Ravens over the Commanders.
You know, I love that we need a safe pick. The safe pick for a parlay. I hope that's what takes home, and I hope this is the week. This is the week.
4-0?
Go to FanDuel. Make that bet.
Yeah, fading Jaden Daniels, calling it the safe pick though, Chris.
Oh,
I
no.
don't know.
I just
I
thought
don't
it
know,
was just
man.
well, and I gave the stat about dogs
For
and
sure,
outright. So
for sure, exactly. Well, another great edition of Broken Table powered by FanDuel. Week number 6, Monday night, Bills, Jets. We'll be back next week to break it all down.
One love.